Hello and welcome to this edition of Pop and Scott Talk Baseball. We are now headlong into the award season. I was just looking at the all MLB team, which is a little bit of a head scratcher because.
Well, that's for MLB Network.
I think these are actually from the MLB, but I think the MLB Network.
They did the special.
They did the special. I don't know who votes for it.
Mostly Dodgers and Yankees.
Well, when you got there are two powerhouses. So I mean, I don't have a problem at moment. Like I love Bobby Witt as shortstop. I don't have any problem with that. But Francisco Lindor was number 2 behind Shohei Ohtani in MVP, or will be, and he's the second team. I just think. But it's hard to say Bobby Witt's not first team. Ketel Marte missed so much of the season, and Harper at first base. I don't know if he's defensively a second team player. I don't know what they're looking at when these are put out there. Like Juan Soto.
Will Contreras, the catcher, was from Milwaukee, not the one from St. Louis.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. But you have Juan Soto who's very bad in the outfield.
Yeah. Soto, Judge, and Betts.
Right. So that's Tescar Hernandez is not very good, but it's hitting. So we're looking at it. I'm looking at hitting, and then I see Paul Skeens maybe the first team.
Well, the DH was Shohei, and then they had
won the DH of the year, which is not surprising.
And the third baseman was Jose Ramirez of Cleveland, who's one of the top third basemen.
I don't have a problem with that.
And to me, the second baseman is a good one but you don't see him much, and that's Ketel Marte.
Yeah, the only problem with that is he was hurt in the second half of the season. But there's going to be injuries.
And the man from Vlad was first baseman, Guerrero.
Yeah. Vladimir Guerrero. He had a great season. He just did Toronto on a bat that had a bad season. So,
and Paul Skeens,
Harper is like he's just not defensive.
Well, they're voting for Harper because it's Harper,
right? And I mean, if that's fine, but Jackson Murrow, another rookie, was in the outfield. So for second team, So
Jarek Scribble. He made it for the Tigers, the first team.
Yeah.
He and Skeens and Wheeler were the first team pitchers.
Right. And Corbin Burns, Chris Sale. Relief was Emmanuel Clase and Ryan Helsley.
Yeah, from St. Louis.
Right. So, I mean, Scribble's going to win the Cy Young. So.
Oh, Skip Schumacher got a job. He left Miami because of somebody in his family had a health problem. So he's going to work for Texas as a senior advisor. So he will only have to be there.
Yeah, you don't have to be there all the time.
Well, they didn't have this in the report, but I'm pretty sure this is the reason. Who's their manager? Bruce Bochy.
Right.
Bruce Bochy's not going to be around but so long. So if they got Schumacher in the wings, you're ready made with a pretty good manager. So if Bochy retires in the next year or two and everything's okay in Schumacher's family, then he can take over as the manager.
Right.
I'm thinking that might be the reason. In Miami, they hired the Dodger first base coach as their manager.
Right.
What was his boy? Clayton McCullough.
Yeah, you just know when you go to Miami, you're working with watered down clay. You're going to build it up just for it to fall apart. They're going to either take players away, or they're not going to be but so good. They made the postseason year before last. But it's just a tough place to build a team.
Yeah. It's if when you figure that some of the good managers they've had there in the last few years, because I thought Mattingly did a good job.
Yeah.
But they just they didn't hit enough. They had good pitching, but they didn't hit enough. And then they moved the fences in, and all that did was help the visiting teams. They still didn't hit enough. And the other part about Miami was that they went downhill a little bit after that. What was his name? Fernandez, the young pitcher that got killed in a boating accident.
Mm-hmm.
But then they came up, and a few years ago, people forget they made the playoffs. Year before last, they made the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Everything was going to go great, and then last year it all collapsed.
Yeah, that pitcher. They had a pitcher win the Cy Young 2 years before that. He just fell apart after that. They did make the playoffs that year. I just think he pitched so many innings. That 200-plus inning mark seems to be. I hate it, but it must got to be something to it, because after that they get hurt. They're not as good. I brought that point up with the Astros this year. You put that many innings on an arm, and the way they throw 100% every pitch, it's just, our arms are not built to do that. There's only so many pitches in those arms.
Yeah, and throwing 100% every pitch, that's not the way you used to pitch. But I mean, that's what they do now. So
yeah, you don't have those guys in a lineup that you can throw one up there and let them hit a ground ball.
Oh, and the other thing that transpired about 3 weeks ago, and nobody knew it, was they had the GM meetings. They had a general managers meeting, and they said that nothing came out of that. There wasn't even any offers, rumors, no talk of trades, nothing during that 3 days of meetings. They were just talking about the different finances around the league and how to best handle it.
I bet you're talking about where the next two places are going to get a team.
That's possible too. But the winter meetings, the winter meetings will take place between the 8th and the 12th of December. So that's in a few weeks. And then we might be able to have one of our shows. We'll be able to report on some, because sometimes they do.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be the same thing with so many big money players this year, that we're not going to see a lot of movement, because
January, February, March.
Yeah, that first domino has to fall before there's going to be movement. So who's going to do that?
Yeah,
Arizona. Okay, if you're going to pay Willie Adames $200 million, say, for 8 years, and you could have got Juan Soto for $500 million for 8 years, but you can't because you already got Willie Adames for $2. These teams are in a bad situation because you can only afford most teams can't get one of them, and the teams that can probably get one of them. And
last year was a case in point. Nobody was going to pay top dollar to Boris for his free agents. They weren't. So it had to be the first guy to take less that set the market. So they all waited until the first guy took less. And then they went from there. And then what happened was Snell and Montgomery signed so late, they didn't have spring training to fall back on, and it hurt their seasons.
Right.
Snell came around well at the end, but Montgomery did not.
Well, he got hurt. Yeah. So my thing is this year, though, the free agent market's better players, right? And they're everyday players. They're not pitchers. I think teams are more scared to put that money into pitchers now, after especially seeing what happened with the Mets.
Well, you got Blake Snell and you got Corbin Burns. They're not shabby, and they're on the free agent market.
Right, but they both, especially Corbin Burns, ran out of gas. He got to that 3/4 mark and ran out of gas. That's what teams are going to focus on. They're not going to focus on the front end. You don't win a world championship in the front end. If you're getting Corbin Burns to be your 1, 2, or 3 guy, and you're winning him, what are you going to do? Not pitch him in the first quarter of the year? I mean, how do you work that? I don't know. But
if you can find enough pitchers, you go to a 6-man rotation.
Yeah, I guess.
Because wins and losses don't mean anything anymore.
They don't.
Number of innings pitched don't mean anything anymore. because you've got just get to through the sixth. 5 1/3, 5 2/3, 6 innings. You get me into the seventh, oh, I'm gonna give you a birthday cake because that's special if you get out there. That's what shocked me a little bit about the Phillies this year was because their pitching was getting deeper into games than just about anybody else. And then at the end of the year, Nola was done.
They ran out of gas. And because of that, they ran. And I'm not going to say, but they've also, again, those three big arms for them have pitched a lot of postseason games.
Yeah.
So you have to add those in. The longer and the more in it adds up. It's been anybody that watches the games will know this because it just happens.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we had a comment after our last show about somebody wanted to know about breakout players, maybe a prospective.
Well, we can do a show on that. He was giving us show ideas, and we can do that. I would think on another we should do a show on those, and I really appreciate that. He's a great person in my community, and I really appreciate that. Any more show ideas because I was asking for them last week. And this off season, we need them right now. We're going to talk about awards, but I mean, if you're talking about a breakout, if you have somebody in your mind right now, please let us know.
No, I just have two. I mean, I just have two kids. Wyatt Langford is an outfielder for the Texas Rangers, and he got into the big show for a while, and they think they're really looking for big things from him. And a third baseman for the Rays named Junior Caminero. He's 21 years old.
Yeah,
and
Junior Caminero, people have been waiting on this kid for a while.
Yeah, they think that he might have a breakout year. They mentioned Wood of Washington, but I thought Wood had a halfway decent season to begin with. I mean, I wouldn't say. I mean, if he improves a lot, yeah, that's a breakout, I guess. But yeah, you're right. We can.
Yeah, but he wasn't. I think next year would be his rookie year.
Yeah,
I don't think he had enough at bats.
Okay,
or enough games. So when it's when people talk about a breakout, they're talking about rookies, and because I have a couple in mind that I'll talk about later. Because I'm always looking in the minors, especially my own team. I just looked at the Mets top 30 the other day. I'll look at the top 100 list here coming up after award season to see. Yeah,
a lot of the awards I think are going to be given out this week.
It's one like a night. I was looking at the schedule.
Yeah, one a night. I said like Sunday night, Monday night at 6, Tuesday night at 6. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's always at 6 o'clock. 20th, 21st, 18th, 19th. So 18th tomorrow night, Rookie of the Year. The 19th is Manager of the Year, which that is going to be interesting because there's quite I think a handful in each one. They're pictured some good ones there. I guess the finalists is Tigers Manager, Cleveland Indians Manager, and Royals Manager. And the other one is Brewers, San Diego, and my man for the Mets. I love my manager. The guys want to play for him. Rookie of the Year in the American League is going to be.
I think National League might be. It's because it'll be between Jackson, Merrill, and Skeens.
Yeah, they got Chenier, the other Jackson for Milwaukee in here too.
Okay.
Chenier, whatever, however you say his name. I just think Skeens,
and Pittsburgh fans are already upset because they say we're going to have him for a few years, and then one of the big teams is going to buy him, and we won't. Yeah,
every night he pitches, that place is packed, or anywhere is packed in this country, and people watch the games too. You're going to watch a lot of his games being televised.
Well, I mean, all these teams, you talk about breakout players. Talk about players that sell out stadiums that people want to go see. I mean, if I lived in a National League city and Cincinnati was coming to town, I'd get a ticket for one of those games because I'd want to see Dela Cruz.
Well, now they got some other youngsters too.
Yeah, they got a lot of youngsters, but I mean that Dela Cruz kid, he's just fun to watch.
Right.
And then I mean, who wouldn't want to buy a ticket to go see Mookie Betts or Freddie or something for the Dodgers? But then the Cubs got some good young players. In fact, I can't remember the young man's name. I thought he was going to be a challenge for the Rookie of the Year. Bush, I think his name was.
Yeah, Michael Bush.
Yeah, Michael Bush. He started out like a house fire. And
he came up through the Dodgers organization.
Yeah, he started the season out going crazy, and I said, "Oh, I was right about this kid." And then he just hit a terrible the second half of the year.
Well, their pitcher they got from Japan, manga, whatever. He turned. I think he's better. Well, he had a better season than Yamamoto when Yamamoto was healthy. Even if Yamamoto in the 2 games in the playoffs decided in the World Series, he was like, hold my sake and we'll go out here and kick some ass.
Well, see, that happens in big games sometimes.
Right.
You have some players. Well, you have guys. If you saw them in practice, you'd think they're the worst player in the world. But when the game starts and the umpire hollers play ball, then you got a different breed of cat.
Yeah, you got some Hall of Fame rookie or Hall of Fame practice players out there too. The MVP, I just think it's a no doubt. I don't even know what.
Well, that's going to be Judge and Shohei.
Right. So, but yeah, that is, every night, like you said, for this week, 18th, 19th, 4 nights, 20th, 21st, 6 p.m.
Yeah. Well, the Mets, they brought back the manager and their entire coaching staff, so they don't have to bring anybody new. That's always good for continuity. Yeah. And they also hired an assistant pitching coach from the Yankees. His name is Desi Druschel. And they got him from the Yankees, and they just added another staff member because they hired every one of their coaches back. I mean, if you can do that, that's awesome because you keep continuity. Yeah. The players know how to play for these guys. They know what's asked of them. You don't have to reintroduce everybody at the beginning of spring training. So, I mean, it's just but I thought they brought everybody back. Arizona traded shortstop Nick Allen to the Atlanta Braves for right-handed pitcher Jared Johnson. And it's because what's his name? The shortstop for Atlanta, Arcio. He had a terrible year. And the year before that, he made the All-Star team. But last year,
they were trying to get middle infielders the whole season.
Right. And
they're picking up anybody.
They're bringing this kid in so they have a backup plan.
Right.
And the Angels, the Braves didn't re-sign Travis d'Arnaud, the catcher. He's getting up there in age a little bit. So the Angels gave him a 2-year, $12 million contract, not only to catch, but also to be part of their DH program. So the Angels picked him up.
Right.
The Rays, I got a letter from the Rays thanking me for the idea of playing in East Sacramento. But they are going to play in the George Steinbrenner field with 11,000 capacity. And it's right outside of Tampa. And it's where the Yankees play their minor league game, maybe their spring training games. Now they're going to play there.
I bet you they have a minor league team that plays there too. Probably.
They still have it. They have an A league. Florida has a lower A league, which plays in almost all the parks. Now they're going to play there. They still haven't decided whether they're going to put the cover back on their park Tropicana. They haven't decided that yet because the city doesn't want to pay their part because you're going to build a new stadium anyway. Right. So, you might have to play here for 2 or 3 years till the new stadium's built.
Right.
And then and we talked about the all MLB team.
We haven't talked about Silver Slugger.
No, I got the Silver Sluggers.
Yeah, I got them right here. Go ahead.
You got them too. So anyway, there you go. Well, get the teams out of the way. In the American League, the team Silver Slugger Award went to the Yankees, and the National League it went to the Dodgers. Gee, what a shock. You got Soto, and you got Stanton, and you got Judge on one team, and you got Mookie and Freddie and Shohei on the other team.
Teoscar Hernandez, don't forget about it.
Teoscar Hernandez. Oh, gee, I wonder who won.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't Tampa. I think they had 4 home runs all year. But I mean, now see, here's one of my favorite players. He got it for the American League. Now the man is 61 years old, but he's still catching. Salvador Perez of the Royals. I mean, just a great guy. He got the Roberto Clemente Award for his work in the community. Just a great guy. He's just one of the real nice people in the sport.
Good people in the sport. One that hopefully they figure out how to keep around after he retires.
Yeah, you've got to give him a job with the organization once he retires.
Or with MLB itself.
Yeah. Because he is just a super individual. And the thing is, he's been around for a long. He's up, 35, 36 years
Something
old.
like that.
Still catching and still hitting the ball a mile.
Yeah. Well, he plays some first now a little bit.
Yeah. They got to get him off his knees.
Yeah, with old Pasquatch, especially being hurt. Hopefully he's back for the Royals. Royals are going to be fun this year coming up. They're going to be a fun team to watch.
In the American League, depending on where the free agents and stuff go, in the American League, it's going to be fun. That Central Division is going to be fun.
Right.
Because Cleveland is going to keep most of their team, and they're good. Kansas City and Detroit were outstanding this year. The only team that was bad was the White Sox.
And they already made a move. I can't remember who they picked up.
Yeah. They got a cutout picture of Mickey Mantle. They're going to put in center field. But anyway,
the name I see sticks out for me that I'm happy that he has got some recognition is Brent Rooker for the Athletics. This man had the cojones to wear Martin McGwire's number for the Athletics.
Yeah,
he hits like
he was a DH.
Yes, he is a beast. He hits balls out of Oakland, and that's a tough stadium to do it.
And I'll tell you somebody else on the American League that I really like seeing on there, and that was Anthony Santander. Now, I'm an Oriole fan, folks. I'm a Washington fan and an Oriole fan, but Santander has been a pretty good ball player for a number of years. And he was always buried on a team that was mediocre. So now the last 2 years he's been on the Orioles when they've been in the playoffs. People have seen him. Now he's going to be a free agent. Now the thought is, here's another one of those little things. Now last week, remember, I've had the speculation Soto's not going out of New York. But if he leaves the Yankees might sign Santander to play right field. So, I mean, but he's on there. And then Josh Smith of the Rangers utility, Vlad Guerrero for the first base for the Blue Jays, Jose Altuve for the Astros for second base. And I don't think he's got the little buzzer on him anymore. Third base is Jose Ramirez of the Guardians. The shortstop is Bobby Witt.
Jose Ramirez, the best player that nobody gets to see.
Who's that?
Jose Ramirez.
Oh, yeah. He and last week when we did the Golden Glove, and he and the second baseman for the Guardians both got their Golden Gloves and they were the only ones who weren't first timers. That's how good they are.
Yeah.
I mean, these two players are outstanding in the field, and Ramirez is one of the best hitters in the American League.
He can just play. Yeah, he's a baller.
Yeah, and then Santander, Judge, and Soto were the outfielders. In the National League, the catcher was William Contreras of the Milwaukee Brewers. Somebody said there's 3 other Contreras brothers that are younger in the pipeline with different teams, and I think they all catch.
Probably.
Bryce Harper got first base for the Phillies. That was his 4th. Well, let's see what we got here. Bobby Witt got his first. He got his first Silver Slugger. Josh Smith of the Rangers got his first. Everybody else is repeaters. I'm sorry, Santander was his first. Ketel Marte of the Arizona D-backs, that's his first for second base. Manny Machado, third base. I was surprised that was only his second because he's been a good hitter for a long time.
But there's so many third basemen.
Third baseman that can stroke.
Yeah, that is.
Well, when
is always the, it's going to be harder now for Harper at first because there's so many third basemen and first basemen.
Lindor of the Mets got his fourth. Jackson Merrill, of course, he got his first, a rookie for San Diego. Jurickson Profire of San Diego had his first Silver Slugger. Teoscar Hernandez of the Dodgers.
And Jurickson Profire came up as a shortstop, with the Texas.
Well, I mean, everybody on San Diego, I think, came up.
Manny Machado with the Orioles.
Yeah. Shohei Ohtani, and the utility was Mookie Betts, and the team was LA. So all of the Silver Slugger awards went to. You can't argue with any of them because all of them can hit. They hit with power.
Right.
In this, they didn't. When you factor in things like All-Star, Most Valuable Player, things like that, hitting is for position players. Hitting is the priority, but it's not the only thing. You have to factor in other things. I've seen players cost their teams games because they don't know how to run the bases.
Right.
I've seen them. Let's see. The fifth inning of the last game in the World Series for the Yankees. There's three guys in that, and three great players that had brain lock in that inning and cost them the game. Even though they got ahead again later on, that fifth inning actually cost them the game. So there's a lot of other things go into making a most valuable player than just hitting the baseball, although hitting is the number one priority because it's the hardest thing to do in sport. Right. Hitting a round ball with a round bat, especially if the ball is going 101 miles an hour, or it's breaking a foot.
Yeah, and it's always moving.
Yeah, the ball is always moving. I would hope to think that. To me, it makes it more exciting, especially when I see these younger players getting awards, because it gives me. I don't know how many more years I got going, but if watching baseball with young Bobby Witt, I
feel the same way.
I watched this kid play for a while. I mean, all these youngsters getting these. I mean, look at it.
I've had somebody tell me, a friend of mine, he's about my age. It's hard for him to watch today's game because it's hard for him to be a fan or idolize or whatever a person that was way younger than me. And I'm like, what? I don't care. If you're good at what you do, I want to see it, right? I don't care what your age is. If I'm sitting there watching, I bought a couple of boxes of WNBA boxes. I want to see Caitlin Clark because she's one of the greatest ever. Just like back, you wanted to see Jordan or Larry Bird. I want to see the best. And right now, I feel like
understand the logic.
We're in this time now. I've said it before. You were lucky enough to see the golden age of baseball. I don't know what to call it now, but I feel like we're in a special moment in the sport. Like with all these young kids, the longevity they're going to have because they know how to keep their body working. I just feel like we're in a special moment in baseball history. And I think the World Series showed it with Freddie Freeman. I mean, he was like, okay, all you young guys, watch how an old guy does it. And it was just awesome.
Watching, have guys, the older players like Judge and Ohtani who are in their 30s now. And now you've got to go back and watch some of these younger players like that Dela Cruz.
Yes.
Like every team have these kids. I mean, I was watching the Washington Nationals, and they didn't even have to fight for each other to go to the sink and shave because they only did it every 3 or 4 days.
Right.
That's how young they were.
Right.
I mean, most of them couldn't even, they were throwing, if they'd won and sprayed the champagne on everybody, they would have had to leave the room.
Yeah, they had to. Jack Holiday they had to have a special room for him.
For him, he had to go in another room.
He had to go and change in another room because he couldn't be in the room
with the alcohol. I mean, these kids, it makes it just maybe I can understand that. How can you relate to somebody? But I mean, I love my grandson. He's not older than me. I mean,
right. I just idolizing the, right. This is a card channel. I collect sports stuff, so it I guess that was what they were talking about, but I don't care. I
love college, son. You and I love college football. These are 19, 20, and 21-year-old kids, and we love watching them play and some of the things they can do.
Unless it's Bo Nix, then he was like 30. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's a pianist or what. If they're talented and one of the best at what they do, I want to see them do it. I think we're living in a great time where young people got great advantages now with the internet and how things are taught now, that it's not just baseball, that they have these things that at 53, I feel like it's like it is a lifetime difference. These kids that are 20 years old had a whole different upbringing than I did, and I thought I was special because I played baseball all the time.
Yeah, and you played Little League all the time, but there was no travel teams.
Yeah, and I didn't have an indoor facility to go to and practice. We shoveled snow out of the batting cages to take batting practice. I mean, but, I'm not trying to compare my time to their time. I'm just saying we're lucky,
Well, now they got these specialized travel teams inside. They play baseball all year round because they can play inside. They can play wiffle ball on the inside. They've got inside batting cages. They got inside pitching areas
with monitors and machines that calculate everything. And I mean, there's ex-professionals running these facilities as well, and coaches, college grads. They just have it.
Let's face it.
I'm not gonna say better. They just have it different. And it's maybe a little easier.
In most sports, it's a young man's game.
Right. Because baseball is the sport where repetition is key. Repetition is everything. It's not about athletic ability gets you only so far in baseball. You have to have practice. You got to practice and have repetition. That's it. It's a reflex game. It's not the mental part is done before the game. So it's not chess like football. It's not, basketball where, moving parts. Baseball is more of a reactionary. What are you going to do when the ball's hit to you? You got to know before it's hit. So not taken away from any other sport. That's just my thought on it. In all sports, these kids are just, you watch YouTube channels and these kids are getting offers at freshmen, sophomores from colleges and trying to lock them down so they don't go anywhere else. It's
well, not only that, but these different teams, they've set up these academies in Central and South America to mine that gold mine of talent.
And it helps a few youth. They give them education. They feed them. So it helps. It's not just, yes, MLB is mining for talent, but those kids get something in return. And that's a good thing. They get health, they get, and not everybody lives there is in a third world country. It's just like anywhere else. But still, it's just, it helps each other. And baseball's growing. It's a professional sport in more countries now. They got a league in Italy. They got a league in Australia. Of course, in all the countries in South America, and Mexico. And speaking of Mexico, we got to talk about Trevor Bauer one day, if he's ever going to be able to come back or what. But I just love it. These young. And and the older guys are hanging right there with them. That's the awesome. The Arenados, the Goldschmidts, the Freemans. Betts ain't a young guy anymore. So, love it. Anything else, Dad? Any other thoughts? We've had a lot of thoughts today.
No, that's it.
It's been a good phone call today on baseball.
Yeah.
Love
it's just we'll be looking forward
to. This is what I like about the awards is it brings up conversations. It's just like, oh, what about this? Comparisons, this, that, and the other.
Yeah, we can talk about the awards next week, and
right.
if we have any disagreements.
Yeah, I don't. It's just like I said all season long. This is a very the league is very spread out now. It's the teams are very equal. There's only a little bit separating most of them. That's why we didn't have any 100-game winners. If they add 2 more, I'm worried it's going to water it down and make the teams that have the more money stronger, which it always does when they do expansion drafts and expansions. At first, it takes a little while. I wish they would copy the hockey move on that. I think hockey does it right, but that's neither here nor there. But we're going to leave you on that. Been a great talk, and interested to see who wins these awards this week, and move on to the second part of who's moving where. Till next time, like, share, tell a friend, subscribe if you haven't, please. Doesn't cost anything. And until next time, see ya.